Hi, my name's Shawn. That is my friend and temporary co-host sitting in for Jesse this week. His name is Neil, and if he looks familiar, it's because A, he's very handsome, and B, because he has been there before. He's officially a PokéMalarkey veteran, a veteran of Malarkey. That's Neil's tagline, probably. Neil, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long week and, nice to have a drink, right?
I honestly can't think of a better way to spend a Friday than staring at my own gameplay footage of Pokemon Shield because I've been addicted this week, but also we haven't talked since maybe since I had my birthday thingamajig, and that's too long. So thank you, A, for filling in for Jesse, and B, being a human that I enjoy interacting with. I appreciate both of those things. Thanks, Neil.
No, thank you. No problem.
We've got two episodes with Neil where you'll sit in for Jesse, but just one episode for right now. And what we're gonna start with is that episode, and that's a really weird thing. I'm rambling. Oh no, God, I'm nervous. What do I do? What do I do? Let me try that again. Today we're talking about Pokemon Indigo League, episode 16, and the title of that episode I think I know. It's called Pokemon Shipwreck. Yes, Pokemon Shipwreck. It's episode 16, and it's kind of part of a four-ish part series. We've already covered 14 and 15, and now we're going to do 16 today. Neil, I was wondering if you would do the episode of offering a brief synopsis of the episode in a pure and objective style before we tear it to shreds because this episode's a piece of shit.
My synopsis might be a little brief. I like to be very to the point.
Good.
Um, Basically,
Jesse's going to be so sad at the lack of sass in this episode. But sorry, Jesse, we're just going to be who we are, and you're going to have to live with that. I'll try to be extra sassy.
so defying like the laws of physics, the show opens up and the Saint Anne in the anime, I think it's called the SS Anne in the games, it is balancing upside down on a little like mountain thing, like about to fall into a crevice in the deepest part of the ocean, where obviously the pressure should crush them, but whatever.
I think what you mean is where obviously the coolest Pokemon possibly live.
That's true.
I have no idea. But neither do they, I bet. Neither do they.
I mean, there are so many undiscovered Pokemon.
Professor Oak told me so. I believe him.
So the Saint Anne is balancing in the like deep in the ocean, and then like the crew wake up because they're obviously out cold, and everything is upside down, and they're trying to figure out what the heck to do, and they try to like go up like from the like middle part of the ship to the hull, like which is now at the top of the ship, above them, and they just have to journey up there, go through, a couple layers, and then like burn a hole into the hull so they will let the water in, and then they will waterfall like up or whatever, and then just swim up to the surface. And then towards the end, like they eventually get to the surface, and basically they're waiting, to be saved or whatever. They're super hungry. James gets pissed off at the Magikarp that he purchased. He kicks it into the sea, and
That saved his life, mind you. Saved his life.
It saved his life.
Kind of.
And
Mostly. It mostly saved his life. Where'd he go, Magikarp?
In the most badass way, it just immediately evolves out of frustration or sadness or something. And Gyarados is obviously super pissed. So it does its favorite move, Dragon Rage, and then the gang is hurled into a typhoon to who knows where. We'll find out on the next episode.
That sounded like the end of like a Rocky and Bullwinkle, like, find out next time. And we will. Okay, let's get mad at this episode because holy shit, I've got serious problems with it. Some context about Shawn. First, I hate large bodies of water and oceans and boats. Okay, I think that covers that part. Second of all, the episode starts off real bad. The gang is looking at Ash upside down, and he's like, "No, I'm not upside down. You guys are upside down," because it looks like they're standing on a ceiling. And then he kind of comes to and realizes he's literally hanging from like a table upside down, and his friends are
Yeah.
just watching him fall to the floor. They're like, "Hey, Ash, you okay?" As he's hanging upside down, passed out, and then just falls to the floor. And so that's pretty shitty. And then second of all, yeah, there's lots of physics defying things that go on here. But gosh, I want to just tear it open from beginning to end, but I also want you to have input. So maybe we go kind of step
No,
by step. Your thoughts on the earlier portion of the episode here?
um, I mean, we find out early on that like Misty is actually going to be useful in the sense like, oh, she has water Pokemon. Normally, they're pretty useless on land. Um,
Take that,
and
Aquaman.
yeah, so now, so she's you know, this is the high point of her of the Indigo League, you know, of season 1 or whatever.
Now, to be fair, they waited a while to be useful, but they came through in a big way. Like, we'll give them some credit. It was big. They needed to save lives.
It's true. Their own
I'll give
lives.
that to them. Yeah, their own. Yes. Well, no, the water Pokemon are going to be fine. They could have just been like, "Peace out, bitches." They were
I
going to be
was
okay.
the
You know,
first thing that
we never
like
see how deep they are. In their defense, they don't know how deep they are either, probably. But we never see how deep they are. Maybe they're in the shallows, and they just found a small gap in the shallows, and so it's really not as insanely absurd as it seems. It
I
is,
mean,
but maybe it's not.
I mean, it's possible, but even the thing is like even if they were like, you know, like a couple like even if they were only like 100 or 200 feet like deep or something, like rising up like to the surface, they'd get the bends, right?
I
Like
don't know how deep that sets in. I think it's probably not. I think you're probably in the right ballpark. Like we don't think oh you have to be really deep for that. Well, do you know what being under 100 feet of ocean is like? Um,
no.
and you know the show's not bent on realism, but maybe they deserve to die in this episode and just come back like Kenny in South Park style next time. Like we can learn a lesson and maybe the show can go on, but let's teach young divers something valuable here.
Oh, the first major thing that was a little frustrating was the weight dynamic at the beginning of the episode where like the Pokemon were let out of their Pokeballs and they're on like this balancing ship and it's like, oh, they go to one side and then it like starts tilting and then they
Of
go
a
to the other side.
room, of a single room, they go to one
Yeah,
side.
just that little hallway on the ship or whatever.
But then when you let Onyx loose in the ship, who per the Pokédex weighs quite a bit more than anybody else that was hanging out
No, they
there,
made
it doesn't do a damn thing.
you got it. They made a big deal about Geodude like bouncing across the hallway, and it's like, oh, he's so heavy at 44 pounds,
Geodude,
and
who is
then
basically one of Onyx's balls.
and then there's Onyx, which the Pokedex says 460 pounds. Like,
Oh, you went hard with the research, nice,
oh
but
yeah,
hard because rocks. Anyway, but no, that's when
puns.
he pulled out Onyx and it said like make a stairs. It's like, all right, if this were a comedy, the whole ship would just, if it were like Robot Chicken, the whole ship would just fall over and they would all die right now because they needed Onyx to be a stairs. And also because the principles of matter don't matter, ironically, when it comes to Pokemon. The Pokeballs weigh nothing. I'm
Oh,
only willing to accept that because I play D&D. They're like little bags of holding is what they
mhm.
are.
it's it's so weird. Like you have these like Pokemon that are obviously heavy, and like when they're out of the Pokeballs, their weight distribution affects whether or not the ship is going to tilt over or not. But while in their Pokeballs, yeah, it's just like nothing. The weight
Well,
of the Pokeball.
what would be funnier if Pokemon weighed like as much as they looked and then the Pokeballs they were in also weighed that much, or vice versa, and Pokemon actually like were just like holograms, um, just didn't weigh any. They were just hollow shells being controlled by mysterious energy on the like if you break one open, it's like full of helium and magic,
Mm.
and it didn't weigh anything. What's funnier? Where can we take this?
I think their actual weight. I'm just imagining like Brock like is incredibly strong
Well,
carrying
he
around
is
like
ripped. Yeah, absolutely.
he's got like but he puts puts like Onyx like its Pokeball back on his like belt or whatever, and his like pants fall down because a 460-pound Pokeball. You know?
That, yeah, I'm game. Why not? He's a handsome guy. So we get some physics issues inside, and then there's also they have to team up with Team Rocket, which this is like a forced after school special kind of vibe to it. It's kind of awkward, but I do like when Pikachu, they all shake hands, and Pikachu shakes Meowth's hand and still just like buzzes him, and that makes me kind of happy.
Yeah.
But then the next part, my next big problem arises is when they actually get to the hull of the ship, which is the highest point is the ship in the water, but it's the bottom of the ship, it's the hole. And then Misty's like, all right, let's have Charmander cut a hole in there and everybody grab a water Pokemon. And so immediately Ash just throws Charmander, and he just like right away, he just like, all right, let's do that. And then he just starts cutting a hole.
Yeah.
And Misty's like, all right, everybody grab water Pokemon. And they were just going to leave Jesse and James to die.
Oh my gosh. Like
They were just...
the thing like they have fought against Jesse and James several times at this point. They have not once seen them use a water Pokemon. And Misty's like, oh, grab a water Pokemon. And they're like,
They've seen
yeah.
them use a total of 3 Pokemon, and one is not a voluntary fighter of any type.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you think about it, think about the plan that the gang like comes up with at that time.
Comes
like,
up with
Misty's
this generous word. I feel like it's a reaction. Like, quick, Charmander, cut!
Well, Misty's like, okay, like, Brock, you obviously only carry around rocks for Pokemon, so like you get like Starmie or something, and like she's like, okay, I'm gonna take like Goldeen, and Ash is like, I'm cool, I've got a Squirtle, and then it's like we know for a fact she still has a Staryu in her belt, and she didn't pull out Staryu to help Jesse and James, and left them with, Magikarp.
She has a Staryu. I don't think she has a Horsey with her, and I don't think she has a Tentacool yet, but she definitely, at a bare minimum, has a Staryu. And so that was kind of a bitch move, Misty. So yeah, they were just going to leave him there to die. But magically, this plan works and they don't die. I do like the part where I like kind of slapstick comedy, but sort of the innocent stuff. So like, Pikachu shocking Meowth, or Charmander running away from the water coming into the ship, and he's like holding his tail in front of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, ah! I kind of like that stuff. That cracked me up a little bit.
I think, and there was also the point where Ash is like, man, I can't come up with any ideas on how to cross this chasm that has fire on the bottom. I need some ideas. Pikachu, shock me. And it's like, okay, cool. Like,
I forgot that happened. That pissed me off. It's like, Ash, you can't think of anything that might work. You just used an Onix as a stairs, and you've got 5 other Pokemon in your belt. And you said, Pikachu, shock me.
Like,
I was very pissed.
Electrify me, Captain. Yeah,
not a fan.
He's just too used to Pikachu's shocks at this point.
I think so. They probably don't even give him a buzz anymore.
Oh my gosh.
They don't even give him a buzz. Okay, I'm sorry.
This has to have affected his brain to some extent. A 10-year-old being shocked multiple times every day.
I actually believe the fan theory that in that first episode or whatever, like the Thunderbolt knocked him unconscious, and now he's just having a crazy coma dream. I totally believe that one. That's my
that explains why he never ages. Yeah.
It explains all Pokemon nonsense in the fact that it's a dream, which is the easy explanation. But if they never say it, then it's not the easy explanation, and that makes it okay.
But I guess the thing is, if you were dreaming, wouldn't you do better than what he's doing? You'd imagine yourself doing a little better.
I've got some pretty depressing dreams. I'll say 2 things. I've got some pretty pathetic dreams. I can identify with Ash's dreams in that, and then also dreams that I wouldn't want to show on children's television. I think they'd be inappropriate. So both things worth considering. So the gang does make it out, and then Jesse and James and Meowth make it out on Magikarp because Meowth is a stubborn little shitbag who won't get back in a Pokeball. Would have
Yeah.
made things easier, whatever. But they get up on Magikarp, and then they're all the whole group, 5 people and a bunch of Pokeballs on a wooden raft. And that's when James gets mad at Magikarp specifically because he can't eat him. That's why he's mad, right?
Yeah.
So Magikarp saves his life, and then because you can't eat him, you get pissed. Kicks him in the water.
Well, we don't know what happened though. It's like we saw like Squirtle and Goldeen and Starmie like essentially use waterfall up like the hole in the hull of the ship
Pulling
and
the
go
gang on
out.
ropes, it shows us, yeah.
Yeah, and they drug them up with the towed them or whatever like through the ocean to the surface. But we don't see that happen with Magikarp and Team Rocket. We just know that Magikarp was attached to them. They could have just like floated up to the surface, basically drowning the whole time. Like,
I'm going to give Magikarp the benefit of the doubt because he did not kill them. That's for one. He did not murder them, which Misty tried to do. And B, he made it up too. Like I'm going to presume, based on the evidence I have, that he did not hinder their progress. So then their reaction is, we're going to eat him. And then when they find out they can't, James kicks him in the water. And he becomes Gyarados. Number 1, becomes Gyarados. Number 2, does Dragon Rage, where he apparently, I did not know this is how Dragon Rage worked. He summons like 7 other Gyarados that all are the exact same, like just the same asset used over and over again, such as 8 sticks sticking up out of the water with the exact same stupid facial expression.
yeah.
And they're all still and they're not animated at all for like significant periods of time. I laughed really hard looking at all the Gyarados sticking out of the water.
See, and before that happens, like you have like there's that period of time where Ash, Misty, and Brock are like on the raft that they've seemingly like made, like upon like floating to the surface, and they're like, oh, let's try to look for let's send Pidgeotto, a bird, out and look for shore or something, and they find like Team Rocket and like all cool as a cucumber. They're like, well, they're obviously dead. Let's throw them out. Like,
they did we should at least give them a burial at sea, and they'll like fold their hands respectfully and then just start to shove them into the water.
But it's like when they get up there, Ash is just all like, golly gee, where's Team Rocket? Like, wonder what happened to them. And it's like, Ash, you idiot, you should know they don't have water Pokemon. Like, you've sentenced them to death, you idiot. Oh.
Yeah, kind of, pretty straight up rude. But it's there's good trash, and I'm gonna say that a lot of Pokemon episodes are good trash. They make my heart happy. They're like junk food or soul food. This episode is bad trash. It's dumb, and I hate it, and I hate a lot of things about it. And I also think that it probably is to blame for my fear of boats and water. I'm not scared of Gyarados because they look hilarious sticking out of the water. I wonder how Dragon Rage works in competitions when you are only allowed 1 Gyarados. Is it a smaller tornado?
I think that they're forced to not use Dragon Rage. They have to use Twister, which might only use one of them. I don't know.
Interesting. No, I have no idea either. That's as good a guess as I have. I think to end the episode, I think at the very end, he uses Dragon Rage, destroys the raft. Oh, by the way, Titanic, Jack and Rose, if you're watching, multiple people do fit on the door. It's fine. Give it a shot sometime. They use Dragon Rage, destroys the raft, and so naturally, they all should be dead again for like the 10th time this episode. If they didn't get the bends from going down to up real fast, what about going up to down real fast? Like, they just going up and down like a damn elevator. Something's going to hurt. I don't know how far down they were, but I'm going to bet that something should be very painful and not right in there. But end of the episode, breaks the raft apart. They should all be dead again. I don't know if we see them float up onto the desert island or if it gives like the to be continued before we see them again. I'm not positive.
Yeah, they
This
that was a really hot, that was a really tall typhoon,
it
and
was. It's
I
extremely
think
tall.
that falling from that high, even into the water, unless you like do like the like swimmers like divers like nose dive or whatever, like I'm pretty sure it's like hitting cement. So
I know that if you land on the water wrong, it would be wildly painful. I'm not a scientist, but I bet you don't want to fall in the water wrong. Yeah, that's where I'm going to end that. I do think if we get to the end and we don't see him washed up on shore or anything, I don't remember where it cuts off because I watched him back to back. I do want to say this about all to be continueds is anytime you have a to be continued and you have like a cliffhanger, I feel like you shouldn't say to be continued because then we know there's another episode. Like, oh, they're probably alive. The next episode's not just going to be a funeral or something. You should say, maybe it's not going to be continued. They're probably dead. And then next week you're like waiting in that time slot. You're like, is it going to come on? And then it does. You're like, oh, thank God they're alive. And then it's just a funeral episode. Ha ha! Catch 22. Gotcha.
oh, I'd say honestly, I think that this episode and the next one, like just this series, like it feels like all of these like couple episodes combined were just like filler episodes, just to get like just to fill in time for the audience until like the next badge, you know?
Until the next important thing. It is
Yeah.
true. I don't really care for most. I like the. I like the first two better than these two, so I like 14 and 15 better than these two, and I don't remember which is which, but I do really like the episode where he trades with the rich Monopoly Eradicate guy.
Oh yeah.
I'd like you Butterfree. That guy, I'm a big fan of that episode just because of that guy's like over the top accent. But so that's
Oh.
the end of this episode. And since Neil's on and neither one of us have read the manga, Neil, I don't think you've read the manga, have you? For Pokemon, I know you read manga.
No, I haven't read this manga.
I haven't either. And then also, I've playing the games. Playing Fire Red has kind of taken a back seat because in the past week I have become addicted, in kind of a pretty literal way. I've become addicted to Pokemon Shield. So last week I promised Jesse that every week from here on out I would offer a status update about Pokemon Shield. And so I don't know how many hours I have played, and I don't want to look because oftentimes I leave the machine on and I just do surprise trades with duplicates until I get something good. So I'll sit down for a play session and I'll play for an hour or 2 hours, which I've got recording in the background right now. And I just go do the max raids and I catch the Pokemon at the end. I spend all my wishing stars, gather as much energy as possible. I don't Dynamax in the dens. I save up all my watts and I just have OP Pokemon like a douchebag. And so I've probably spent tens and tens of hours just doing surprise trades with duplicate Pokemon, just on the side of whatever else I'm doing. So I have progressed. I am to Hammerlock now, which is like the fourth gym town, I think, in the thing. But most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, it's just me hitting the A button to make surprise trades. I'm just gambling with my Pokemon's lives, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes they get some really cool stuff.
Hmm.
I've got like Neil. I forget. Do you have Sword or Shield yet?
No, I've just been playing Let's Go Eevee.
Okay. Someday when I'm done with Shield, you should at least borrow it and determine if it's something you'd like to buy. For those of those, I don't know why anybody here would know. I think Neil's Switch. That's still a relatively recent development, and Switch games are expensive and time consuming. So forgive us for being behind. This game's a
I,
year old, Neil, and I just got
I
it a few months ago, and I just started playing it like last week. But it's a
mhm.
year old. I can't wrap my mind around that.
Didn't you say you have like over 100 different like Pokemon or something like that already?
I've seen over 200, and I have caught close to 150 at this time. Due to surprise trades, I have 12 or 13 level 100 Pokemon that I have acquired through surprise trades, several of
What?
them shiny. And what people do, Neil, this is very interesting. Surprise trade is exactly what it sounds like. I throw a trade out there onto the internet, into the ether, and then somebody else does it as well. And that's it. It's not random because it's another human, but it's random of who you're paired up with and why. There's no rhyme or reason to it that I know of.
Huh.
So websites and groups out there have probably figured out, I'm sure I'm not thinking about it, there's probably an easy way to say trade your Pokemon and then cut the save off or something like that, so you actually get to keep your Pokemon, so you can just keep trading them or whatever. And so they attach a name to it that will be a website, like they're using it as marketing. So it's like Shawn sends over Goldeen, and in return gets level 100. It's a Gengar, but its name is going to be like Discord, machamps.co.uk or something like that. And I was like, that's brilliant. And so I've gotten like 4 just from that Machamps website, who, like I said, have seemingly found a way just to sort of spam and keep their Pokemon that they're trading, so that they can keep giving them to people in marketing for free in a fashion that I will remember, obviously. I think it's brilliant. So I have level 100 Pokemon that will not listen to me whatsoever because I have only won 3 gym badges. And it's a little frustrating. I can't use them, but they look great in my boxes.
Oh my goodness.
My Pokédex is filling up fast. Let's put it that way. So that's my Pokemon Shield update. Neil, for your sake, I will say that it is an extremely fun Pokemon game because it gives you all the Pokemon stuff you want, but then it streamlines a lot of stuff that I think it's like long overdue. So I hope that someday you will at least borrow mine and give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I will. I'm unsure if I want to go back like a couple generations, because I actually grew up watching like Gen 1, like the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I started playing the games with Gen 2, and then I went back to Gen 1, and then I played Gen 3, and then I think it was Gen 4 I didn't play, but I think like I stopped before then. And I kind of went back and I'm like, oh, like maybe like with my emulator, try playing like go through a couple gym badges, and it was okay, but
I kind of get them mixed up. I played a little Gen 1 and a lot of Gen 2 because we got Crystal and a Game Boy Color at some point. And then I didn't really play a lot of the middle gens, but kind of after the fact, I did get Pokemon Black and a DS at about the same time, and I did enjoy those well enough. I can safely say that it's not that it's the best story or my favorite Pokemon. It has all my favorite Pokemon. I don't know that it has a full Pokédex, but I know through trades and other means, I imagine there's probably a way to get every Pokemon in existence. I have no idea. I've never looked it up. I just know that I've seen or acquired already basically all my favorite Pokemon. And so the story and the nostalgia is not quite there, but functionally it does so many things that at best you're very grateful for how they speed things up, and at worst you just ignore them and they're harmless. And it does so many of those things that I don't have any desire, at least right now, to backtrack. Normally I would say Crystal is probably my favorite game, but it's hard to imagine wanting to play Crystal while having this game. And I know that sounds a little sacrilegious because it may not feel that good to most people, but functionally it's so much smoother an experience, and I can play it easily on my TV or my hands.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's like this level of nostalgia from playing like the older games and being very familiar with like the process and the Pokemon and everything like that.
And that's great. That's when you kind of strategize. Like you build your team almost in advance. Like, this is the team I'm going to go find. I'm going to raise them, get them here, and they're going to get me through the elite. What's their names? And that's great. And you keep that nostalgia, and I have that nostalgia as well. Mine's for Crystal. Like I said, as functionally as a game, this one plays just infinitely better in the things that it does. I could spend all day telling you all about it, but suffice it to say that it's just a smoother gameplay experience, coupled with the fact that it's finally on your TV and on the go, which is amazing. So, I'm biased towards convenience, but
honestly, I really love the graphics and like the story and how everything like unfolds with like, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Even like the ball throwing like mechanic, I was super skeptical at first, but it's actually an interesting challenge to the game that it's very, very different from all of the previous games.
I despise the ball throwing mechanic because I am a JRPG person. Like, I play Pokemon because it's a JRPG, so I despise the ball throwing mechanic. But this game, Shield and Sword and Shield, take several extremely helpful things from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. One, your whole party levels gets experience from your battles.
Mhm.
You get experience from catching things, so those are two like direct Let's Go things.
Mhm.
Because how could you not get experience from catching things? You already did the fighting. How do you not get? So it does that, and lots of other like little things that it seems like Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu were sort of the first place they were test run, and now they are in the mainline series. They're part of the deal, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'll
So-
admit in addition to the nostalgia aspect, there's just something that I really, really love about like going back to the old games and playing on like an emulator and like speeding it up at 1,000%, like, too fast, and like just, holding the space bar, just running through the game. And like I like to have my Pokemon chosen randomly. So I'll do a random number generator to like, okay, this is my team of 6 that I can use, and I have to use my starter until I get at least one of my team of 6 that was randomly chosen for me.
That's beautiful and touching, and I would be okay with that, but I would only allow Hunter and or Gengar thereafter would have to be in my number. Like I wouldn't allow that slot to be generated because I refuse to play through the game without a Hunter/Gengar. Period.
Really?
I love ghost types and psychic types. My two favorite Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon is probably Alakazam, shortly followed by Hunter.
Oh,
Love him.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that like the best Pokemon in the games that I always really wanted, like required having friends and being able to trade them, and it's like
You could have stopped right there and said it required having friends, and I'd have been like, "Fuck, I'm out." Okay. No, because I was after the fact too, so I always had to. If I played on emulators, at least you can cheat your way around it. But
yeah,
I was never on time enough. Even by the time I got Crystal, everybody else was on to whatever the GBA Ruby Red and Emerald Green or something like that.
Oh, do you remember when you were younger playing the Game Boys? Like they had the lights,
The
like
IR.
yeah, they had like little like swirly like light thing like that you put over the, or there was like the one with the magnifier, like
All the horrible accessories.
yeah.
I do, but again, all kind of after the fact and not until I got the internet and disposable income. So I started collecting random crap.
Yeah, all of that.
All of this. But well, I think I'm going to cut us off there for now because I feel like I know we're recording back to back, but I'll have to share more updates next week, and you'll have to listen to me gush about Pokemon Shield even more. And so I need to save some things to say for the next one. But we will cut this one off there. And unless you have any final thoughts on a shitty episode, give me your final summary, like in a word or in a phrase. What's your elevator speech on Pokemon Shipwreck?
Hmm.
And you can't say piece of shit because I already took that one.
Okay. Filler, mediocre, not really any plot. 3.4 out of 10.
Nice. Well done. Hey, this has been PokéMalarkey live, coming at you live. And I don't know why I wanted to say that. And I'm Shawn, and that's Neil. And if you are live, we're going to just hang around. We're going to jump off of this and then start right back up in the exact same stream. And for everybody else, everybody who's the normal 5 people that listen the other ways, thank you so much for listening to PokéMalarkey. Come check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. This is Neil Gooman. My name is Shawn Shaler. This has been PokéMalarkey 16, Pokemon Shipwreck, and we will be back next week. Thank you guys very much.